Test results were out. The security guard at the school gate pointed at me. 0 points. I laughed. Of course, the top scorer's results would show as 0. Thanks for the compliment, I said. The guard gave me a knowing look. The valedictorian is your best friend. You really got 0. I laughed again. How could the top student in school possibly get a 0? Just as I was about to leave, he pointed at the bracelet on my wrist. That's a score transfer bracelet. When she turned in a blank exam, the points had to come from somewhere. You got 0 because of it. I froze. My best friend, Sophie Chen, had indeed given me a sisterhood bracelet not long ago. I'd felt strange and foggy during the exam, as if my mind was too clouded to write. But Sophie had insisted I wear the bracelet. I had tried removing it multiple times, but it wouldn't come off. And recently, my scores had started to drop, while Sophie had placed in the top 3 times in a row. What should I do? Give it to someone close to you, the guard said. They'll unknowingly carry the burden for you. He pointed to the boy waiting to pick me up. That guy looks like he'd do. I turned around. Not far from me stood Lucas Tran, my childhood friend. No way. I quickly covered my wrist. Lucas and I had known each other for 18 years. Since my dad passed away and my mom got sick, he'd always been there, quietly helping me through the hardest days, even using his pocket money to cover my expenses. I could give this bracelet to anyone, but never him. The guard lit a cigarette, not caring about my choice. In a few minutes, that bracelet will lock to your wrist permanently. After that, there's no way to pass it on. You'll have to take the 0. I held on to the bracelet tightly and walked away. He's probably lying. There's no such thing as a score transfer bracelet. It's impossible. I'd checked my answers after the mock exam. I barely missed any. Top rank should have been mine. But when the results came out, I dropped over 10 places. Top scorer, still Sophie Chen, even though the best she'd ever done before was 20th place. I wandered into class, still in a daze, until I heard a familiar voice. A score transfer bracelet? That's just cruel. Why, Sophie? Weren't you and Skylar childhood besties? Lucas Tran's slender fingers spun his pen slowly. His voice was calm, but it hit like thunder. I told you already, Lucas said. Even if Skylar doesn't get into college, I'll take care of her. But Sophie, she chose her own academic path. Skylar just kept taking her place at the top. All I asked was for her to let Sophie win once, but she argued with me. These matching bracelets, I went through so much to find them. If Skylar refused to cooperate, then I had no choice but to treat her that way. My back was pressed tightly against the wall, breath unsteady. My grades had always secured the top spot, but Sophie Chen, my so-called best friend since the beginning of senior year, had always teased me that she'd surpass me. I'd always told her, I won't give you a chance, and yet I still helped her study. But she had never once beaten me. Until one day, she cried, her face buried in her exam paper, sobbing uncontrollably. No matter how I tried to comfort her, it didn't work. Lucas had asked me to let her win. I refused. We fought. That argument ended when he gave in. After that, he never brought it up again. But it turned out, he was the one who got those bracelets. I wiped my tears and ran to find the old man before he packed up his things. What counts as family? Does it have to be blood-related? The beggar paused. If you feel they're family, then they are. I clenched the bracelet in my hand. Please, sir, help me. That night, I had to dislocate my wrist just to take the bracelet off. The skin was rubbed raw, bleeding heavily. The old man handed me a bracelet identical in shape but crushed the original one, breaking it into pieces that turned into bracelets of various colors. The next day, I slipped the new bracelet onto Lucas Tran's wrist. A lucky charm. He glanced at the altered color and design of the bracelet, squinting slightly. Since when did you become so superstitious? Because I want us to get into the same university. He glanced at my wrist, seeing the original bracelet still there. and finally smiled. Silly girl, even if we go to different schools, I'll still visit you. I lowered my head, hiding my shyness and the chill in my eyes. Before I even reached the classroom, noise echoed down the hallway. I opened the door. Sophie Chen was being dragged by her hair, her face covered in tears. Did you steal my patent? That was crucial for my direct admission application. You've got some nerve. The one yelling was the principal's daughter. She had recently developed a new patent and was preparing her application for early college admission. But yesterday, the document suddenly disappeared. The surveillance cameras had only captured Sophie Chen returning to the classroom at that time. I didn't do it. I really didn't. Sophie Chen panicked, but Lena Xu slapped her across the face. Still pretending. You're always gossiping behind my back, saying I'm fake, saying I'm all an act. You think I don't know? If you're jealous, then work harder. Earn your spot like the rest of us. Stealing my achievement? What does that make you? Give it back. Now. Sophie trembled. You won't talk? Lena whipped out her phone. I'll call my dad. If I don't get accepted through direct admission, you're not going to college either. No, please! Sophie lunged forward, but Lena's groupies held her back. Just as Lena connected the call to her father, a sharp voice rang out. Wait! My arm was yanked back. Lucas Tran stood there, one hand in his pocket, the other firmly gripping my wrist. I saw her in the classroom at that time, too, he said calmly. Lena's eyes widened. Wait, no, I wasn't. I was about to say something, but Lucas pulled me aside. It was her fault, he said, voice low. I'll talk to her. He dragged me to a quieter corner, his gaze fixed on me. Are you really going to just stand there and watch your best friend get bullied? But I didn't do anything. Skylar. His brows furrowed, a trace of disappointment flickering in his eyes. She can't afford to miss the college entrance exam. She has her own dreams. Don't be stubborn. My fists trembled. But then, I saw the bracelet on Lucas's wrist loosen ever so slightly. The one you consider family is your family. I couldn't breathe for a moment. Then I closed my eyes. All right, I understand. I'll help her. During the all-school assembly, I stood on the auditorium stage as Principal Xu read a long, scathing speech, using me as a cautionary tale. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Skylar? Wasn't she the former top student? How could someone like her fall this low? Probably just jealous. Heard her grades have been tanking lately. Mad that Lena got direct admission, I bet. Who knows how she got to the top in the first place? Wouldn't be surprised if she cheated her way there. Sophie's the real deal, still ranked #1. That's true talent. Only Lucas Tran, sitting in the audience, remained silent. I took a deep breath and smiled. I don't blame you. I'm willing to do this for you. In that moment, his hand froze. The bracelet on his wrist seemed to tighten just slightly. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a few shadows lurking near the street corner. I immediately gripped his hand tighter. Your driver's here to pick you up, right? Can I catch a ride home with you? Think of it as a way to make it up to me, okay? Of course. He looked at me with soft eyes. This was my fault. Taking you home is the least I can do. But just as I settled into his Ferrari, his phone suddenly rang. On the screen, the caller ID flashed. Most beautiful Sophie. Lucas Tran answered the call. His expression turned serious. He shoved me out of the car. Looks like Sophie's being followed by Lena Xu. Get home on your own. But before I could finish my sentence, he ordered the driver to go. He even flung me aside, hard enough that I hit the ground. The shadows hiding at the street corner finally emerged. Lena Xu led the way, grabbing a fistful of my hair. Last time, you just got humiliated in public, remember? I lost my guaranteed college spot, and you still dare to act like nothing happened? Hit her! Her gang of girls rushed in, twisted my arm behind my back, and dragged me into a dark alley. I screamed like a madwoman, "Lucas, come back!" But the car was already disappearing around the bend. He didn't even look back once. In that quiet alley, the only thing left was my voice, screaming in pain, echoing off the cold walls. Half an hour later, I stumbled out, clutching the wall just to stand. My clothes were torn, my body bruised, hair tangled and matted. In my hand was a knife, the very knife that helped me escape that hell. Then, a familiar figure rushed toward me. Lucas, finally done helping Sophie. With a thud, I collapsed. Through my blurry vision, I saw him panic and catch me. His voice trembled. "Skylar, what happened to you?" I looked away for just a moment. How did it come to this? "Don't be scared. Just hold on a little longer. Skylar, stay with me. Don't fall asleep." The next time I opened my eyes, I saw a new status update on Sophie's profile. Oops. I must have been too stressed and mistook someone else for Lena. But someone still went out of their way to walk me all the way home. And we live in completely opposite directions, too. What a fool, huh? The comment section lit up instantly. Ooh, someone special? Who's the mystery guy? No way it's Lucas Tran, right? If those two don't go public after graduation, I swear I'll wash my hair upside down. I turned off my phone. I didn't want to see any more updates about them. Instead, I staggered out of bed and went next door to borrow some makeup from my neighbor. Just enough to cover the bruises on my face. If Mom saw them, she'd be even more worried. But when I got to my mother's hospital room, I froze. Sophie Chen was already there. "Lucas really does care about you," she said with a fake smile and eyes full of malice. "He stayed by your side for 3 days straight, didn't sleep a wink, and when he had to leave, he asked me to come take over. You two are such a classic childhood sweetheart pair." She emphasized the words childhood sweetheart with bitter sarcasm. Mom still didn't know anything. She held my hand happily. "Sophie told me you two are best friends. She's been chatting with me for a while." "She said you've been busy with something lately. What happened, sweetheart?" "Nothing, Mom." I quickly dodged the topic, but Sophie deliberately raised her voice. "How could it be nothing, Auntie? Skylar learned how to fight now. Just 3 days ago, she got into a brawl with over a dozen gangsters." The heart monitor suddenly beeped erratically. Sophie smirked and paused mid-sentence, letting the silence carry the weight of her words. Mom gasped. "Over a dozen gangsters? What? What happened, Skylar?" "Mom." I rushed to cover Sophie's mouth. "She's joking, Mom. If I had really fought with that many people, wouldn't I be covered in injuries? I've just been studying for college entrance exams. That's why I haven't visited you." Mom hesitated, then nodded slowly. "You're right. College is important right now." But Sophie kept going. "But Auntie, doesn't she have makeup on? Is she trying to hide?" Smack. A punch landed straight on Sophie's face. "Skylar!" Mom shrieked. "You can't hit your friend!" At the same moment, Sophie shoved me, hard. I slammed into the corner of a metal table, pain shooting up my spine. "Lucas!" She whimpered, tears welling up as she covered her face. "I just wanted to take care of her." But she said if it weren't for me, she wouldn't have gotten hurt. She grabbed my hair, made me apologize. I did apologize, but it wasn't enough. She dragged me here to make me kneel and beg in front of her mom. Lucas's fists clenched. He furrowed his brows and turned toward me. I was the one who told her to go home early. She didn't listen. That's why she ran into those thugs. "This is on her. Don't blame Sophie." "What? Thugs? What are you talking about?" Mom looked back and forth between us, completely overwhelmed. I pressed my palms together in front of my chest, silently pleading with Lucas Tran. But Lucas Tran looked at my mother with a cold expression and said, "You didn't know, did you? 3 days ago, after school, your daughter didn't come home." She spent over 30 minutes fighting more than a dozen gang members in a dark alley. A stack of photos was tossed onto the hospital bed. They were stills from a dash cam, capturing the full scene of me struggling, bloodied and outnumbered. Beside them, my recent report card, filled with red marks and plummeting grades. Right in the middle of college exam prep, and I'd been in a fight. My academic performance had tanked. "You're destroying yourself," Lucas said coldly. "You're throwing everything away." Then he turned and casually slung his arm around Sophie Chen's shoulder and walked away. I lunged toward the hospital bed, crying out, "Mom, I didn't mean to fight. It was a setup. I was trapped. My grades." Beep, beep. The monitor by my mother's bed started screaming an alarm. Doctors and nurses rushed in, pulling me back and out of the room. That night, I collapsed in the hospital hallway like a statue carved from stone. I stayed there until dawn, unmoving. Then the doctor emerged from the emergency room. I looked up, and the tears fell before I could stop them. On college entrance results day, I was forced to attend the public announcement ceremony at school. The auditorium buzzed with excitement. Everyone had their phones out, refreshing their pages, checking their scores, screaming and hugging in celebration. Everyone except me. I sat alone at the very edge of the room, head down, silent. Lucas didn't celebrate either. From time to time, he glanced in my direction, his eyes filled with conflict and something harder to define. But then Sophie Chen's name was called, and his face finally lit up with a genuine smile. "A perfect score!" The room erupted. "Sophie, you're the valedictorian!" She looked shocked, like a miracle had just been handed to her. Her classmates swarmed around her. "Sophie, don't forget us when you make it big." "I can die happy now. We studied with a valedictorian." "Let's go celebrate. Sophie's treating." "Wait!" I stood up. All eyes turned to me, brows furrowed, annoyance spreading like a wave. "We're celebrating the top scorer here. Why are you standing up?" "Me? I haven't checked my results yet." "No need." Lucas walked up and grabbed my wrist. "I already told you. I'll pay for your tuition." Psh! Look at that attitude. With a guy like Lucas on her side, Skylar Quinn really doesn't know how lucky she is. Seriously, everyone knows her grades have tanked. She should learn her place instead of waiting to be humiliated in public. I didn't respond. Silently, I pushed through the crowd and walked over to the computer station. I typed in my candidate ID. Within seconds, my results appeared on the screen. Score 0. A burst of laughter erupted behind me. "Ha ha 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 ha! Someone actually got a 0 on the college entrance exam. Look at this!" Sophie Chen quickly walked over. Her eyes narrowed as she looked at the screen, a smug smirk curling at her lips. She already knew. She knew I submitted a blank paper. And since we were seated next to each other, she assumed mine was the same. Then my phone rang. Before I could answer, a classmate snatched it from me. "Is that your dying mom calling to ask about your score? Here, we'll answer for you. Save you from having to lie." The call connected. Suddenly, the classmate's face went pale. "Whoa, what?" "It's Tsinghua University's admissions office. They're calling for her?" I calmly took the phone. "Hello, this is Skylar Quinn." "Valedictorian? Me? I see. Thank you. I'll consider it carefully." I hung up. The classroom went dead silent. Not a word. Until someone finally couldn't hold it in. "Wait, does that mean you're the valedictorian?" "I guess so." "That can't be." Lucas Tran rushed forward and grabbed my arm. "Didn't you get a 0? How can you be the top scorer?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "Did you forget? When someone scores in the top percentile, the system hides the result temporarily for security. But how? Did you really think I only deserved a 0? "You do deserve a 0, Sophie suddenly shouted, panic overtaking her voice. "I saw it! You turned in a blank paper, so did I!" Lucas quickly clamped a hand over her mouth. Sophie froze, biting her lip hard, face flushed in fury. Well, maybe valedictorian scores are hidden. But what about second or third place? One classmate tried to comfort Sophie. She nodded mechanically, pale, fingers nervously brushing the bracelet on her wrist. But after over an hour of waiting, no calls came for her. Meanwhile, I received another one. This time, it was from Peking University's admissions office. Lucas stared at me, his expression clouded. He opened his mouth a few times, unsure what to say. I turned toward him. Is something wrong? He glanced at the bracelet on my wrist, then at Sophie's. His lips tightened. No, nothing's wrong. No way, there must be a mistake. Another student snatched my phone. I need to check. Why would Tsinghua and Peking University call you, but not Sophie? They started writing down phone numbers and frantically calling the admissions offices of top universities. Why didn't you call Sophie Chen? Are you only focusing on the valedictorian and ignoring second and third place? That's not fair at all. One call finally connected. What? She's not even in the top ranks? How's that possible? Sophie was always a top student. Wait, what? She really scored 0? The person on the line widened their eyes in shock, voice trembling. Lucas Tran froze in place. Sophie looked horrified, staring wide-eyed in disbelief. I looked her straight in the eyes and smiled. So you really did submit a blank exam, didn't you? No, that's impossible. She grabbed my wrist. The bracelet, isn't it supposed to transfer scores? It worked before, on all those mock exams. The entire class gasped, stunned. Lucas suddenly shouted, Sophie Chen! She backed away, breathing heavily, dazed. But you said it would work. Why did I still get a 0? This can't be happening. I turned to leave, just as he caught sight of my mocking glance. His face stiffened. He immediately let go of Sophie, running after me. Skylar! Skylar! He grabbed my wrist, panic rising in his voice. You knew, didn't you? I didn't hide it. Yes, I knew. He opened his mouth, struggling for words. Then, suddenly, he clutched my wrist tighter. But you're still wearing the bracelet. I glanced down at the one on his wrist. No, I said quietly. You are the one wearing it now. His pupils shrank. In that instant, memories flooded back. He'd been given early admission. He wasn't even supposed to take the college entrance exam. So, he never had any scores to transfer, which meant Sophie Chen's score was never transferred, because there was nothing to transfer. Lucas tried to take the bracelet off, but it was too late. It had fused with his skin. No matter how hard he pulled, it wouldn't come off. How could this happen? His voice shook as he clenched his teeth. Wasn't the bracelet only supposed to transfer disaster to family? How could you transfer it to me? I looked him in the eyes and spoke slowly. It doesn't have to be blood-related. As long as I truly saw you as family, then you were the one destined to bear it. What did you just say? He stood frozen, a thin sheen of tears forming in his eyes. So, all this time, all your tolerance, your kindness, it was all... That's right, I replied calmly. An act. What did you say? A scream pierced the air. Sophie Chen suddenly burst into the room, unhinged. She grabbed my wrist and yanked hard. The bracelet on my arm fell off effortlessly. She froze, staring at the fake bracelet in her hand, her voice trembling. Didn't you say it couldn't be taken off? Enraged, she hurled the bracelet to the ground. It cracked open. You made a fake one and gave the real one to Lucas. You're evil. You knew he wasn't taking the college entrance exam. I smiled, but my eyes were ice cold. Evil? What right do you have to call me that? When Lucas left me alone in that alley for you, was that not evil? When the two of you set me up and destroyed everything I'd worked for, was that not cruel? All I've done is return the favor. Why is it suddenly a problem now that the tables have turned? Lucas stood silent, unable to refute me. His head slowly lifted, eyes red with guilt. When did you start being disappointed in me? He asked, voice breaking. I closed my eyes. Lucas, the day you brought those photos to my mother's hospital bed, that's when her condition got worse. He looked like he couldn't breathe. Why didn't you tell me? What for? I asked, staring directly at him. What are you to me? A flash of panic swept across his face. I turned and walked away without looking back. After I was officially named the top student in the entire province, my name spread like wildfire. Mr. Shu, the principal and father of Lena Shu, presented me the award in person. He looked visibly uncomfortable standing in front of me. His compliments were far more exaggerated than the harsh article he had once published about me. I only offered a soft thank you. Then, I coolly dropped a thick stack of printed photos on the podium. Images captured from a dashboard camera parked on the street corner the day I was attacked in the alley. Every detail was clear, every moment documented. In those images, Lena Shu's face was unmistakable. She had just turned 18. Her father had tried every means to bury the incident, but now, I was the brightest name in the region, the valedictorian, under the spotlight of the media and public attention. The moment I released the photos, they went viral, topping the hot search list. With nowhere left to hide, Principal Shu was dismissed by the school board. Lena Shu's freshly issued university acceptance letter was revoked. The university publicly declared, "We do not admit students who lack basic moral integrity." Worse, she now faced criminal charges. Desperate, Lena came begging for me to sign a settlement. But I didn't even grant her a meeting. Instead, I posted the entire story online, every detail. In the end, she couldn't escape what she had done. Fortunately, my mom recovered. The anger she'd once felt had come from pain, from seeing her daughter bullied, and feeling powerless to stop it. Only when my mother saw that I hadn't broken, that I had risen brighter than ever, did she finally find peace. But as reporters swarmed in from all over, Lucas Tran showed up too. Lately, he'd been watching me from a distance. My sponsorship money skyrocketed, but I returned every cent. The media value of a provincial valedictorian wasn't small, and he knew that. I transferred back to his account all the support he'd given me over the years, principal and interest. From now on, we owe each other nothing. His face twisted in panic. Skylar, what do you mean, owe nothing? You don't need me anymore? We grew up together. Exactly, I said coldly, shoving him out of my house. That's what makes what you did so disgusting. The door slammed shut in his face with a definitive thud. That night, the rain poured like the sky itself was collapsing. In the middle of the night, I got up to close the window and saw him, still standing there, soaked to the bone, eyes dim, staring up at my room like they held back tears. My fingers hovered near the curtain for a moment, but in the end, I pulled it shut. He showed up at my college acceptance celebration. The bracelet was no longer on his wrist. It had only stayed because I once saw him as family, but now that I'd stopped pretending, it had slipped off on its own. Skylar. He gently clipped a pair of earbuds onto my ear. I know I wronged you. I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I designed these myself. You once said you loved oxidian stones. I hand-shaped the one on this pair. I hope you'll like them. He softly brushed my hair aside. His eyes were heavy, filled with sorrow and words he didn't say. Then he turned and walked away. I took the earbuds off. They were beautiful, completely my taste. But still, when no one was looking, I quietly dropped them in the trash. Just now, when he touched my hair, it felt like he pulled a strand. I couldn't take that risk. After that, I threw myself into preparing for college. But this morning, when I woke up and looked in the mirror, I stumbled back 2 full steps, crashing into the wall. My face was rotting. Even my mom gasped in horror when she saw me. Her condition had been steadily improving ever since I became valedictorian. My mother had only just regained her strength, able to care for herself again. But it didn't last long. Soon, she was dragging me across hospitals, big and small. Strangely, doctor after doctor failed to explain the necrosis on my face. Even medication had zero effect. The first thing I thought of was the earbuds Lucas Tran had given me, but I had already thrown them away. I saw the garbage truck crush them with my own eyes. Still, after thinking it through, I removed him from my block list. When he found out, his voice trembled. "This is serious. Why didn't you tell me? I'll be there immediately. If we can't treat it here, we'll go abroad." That very day, he was already waiting outside my house. I couldn't let anyone see my face anymore, not even with a mask. Now I wore sunglasses just to hide the damage. But he gently removed all of it, the mask, the glasses. And when he saw my face, his eyes didn't show shock or disgust like the doctor's. Instead, they showed pain. He pulled me into a hug. "Why didn't you say something? No matter how angry we were at each other, it shouldn't have come to this. Do you know how much it hurts me to see you like this?" Feeling the warmth of that embrace, I froze. Could it be he truly regrets it? And now he's trying to make things right? That very day, he took me to the top reconstructive surgery department in the capital. But even the specialists there were baffled. No diagnosis, no explanation. We went from place to place. The results were always the same. Lucas started to panic. That night, he called his contacts overseas and booked me a flight. "There's a similar case abroad. My friend knows a doctor who successfully treated it. Let's leave, tonight." I saw the dark circles under his eyes, proof of the many sleepless nights he must have spent worrying about me. My nose stung with emotion. Maybe the past truly had passed. While boarding the plane, I suddenly noticed the old beggar again, the same one I'd seen near the airport before. When he saw me, he gave a faint smile. "So, you're going abroad. Once you leave, you won't come back the same." "What do you mean?" I paused. He gently pulled down my mask, squinted at my face for a long moment, then carefully pulled the mask back on. "It'll be fine," he said softly. "You'll recover soon, but you won't be you anymore." "You mean, I'll have scars?" "No," he chuckled strangely. "Not a single scar. You'll just turn into your sister." "What?" I froze, face-switching sorcery, one of the darkest, most forbidden ancient arts. "Girl," he whispered, "who did you offend?" My first instinct was to think of the Oxidian earbuds Lucas had given me, but I shook my head immediately. "No way, I threw those earbuds away. I saw them get crushed myself." The old man took a long drag from his cigarette. "Obsidian," he said. "That stone can store a person's soul essence. If broken, you'll become the person he wants you to become." When he touched your hair, he wasn't taking anything. He was blending someone else's hair into yours. I staggered back a few steps. Suddenly, I remembered. I'd always had thick, coarse, jet-black hair, but recently, it had become soft, with a natural auburn tint. I thought I'd just slept on it funny. But that soft red hue, wasn't it Sophie Chen's exact hair color? The old man let out a loud, raspy laugh. "Seems your precious childhood friend knew you well. He even guessed you'd throw the earbuds away." I clenched my jaw. "Sir, what should I do now?" 10 minutes before the plane was set to depart, Lucas Tran suddenly disappeared from the airport. He didn't even say goodbye. His phone stayed busy the entire time. I didn't ask. I didn't need to. I already understood. My hair is shorter now. I cut it all off with my own hands and handed it to the beggar. The strands that had belonged to Sophie Chen were burned in a ritual he performed. The face-switching curse was broken, and once the ritual fails, the curse rebounds on both the caster and the intended beneficiary. Sophie had a simple plan. Switch faces. Take my identity. Take my spot at Tsinghua University. Start a new life. While I, marked with a perfect 0 on the college entrance exam, would lose everything I had worked for. But when the ritual failed, her once flawless face began to rot, bleeding, infected, twisted in pain. Lucas Tran rushed back to take care of her. Meanwhile, my wounds began to heal, cleanly, gently, leaving not even a single scar behind. But then, I saw the headline: Lucas Tran, severely injured in car crash, rushed to ICU. It wasn't unexpected. The beggar blew a stream of smoke into the night. He's the one who cast the spell, and I was the one who broke it. Of course he'd suffer the rebound. Eventually, I went to visit him in the hospital, just once. He lay there motionless, paralyzed, his once bright future gone, including his gifted admission to university. Now, he couldn't even feed himself. I sat beside the hospital bed and asked softly, "Why? Why did you want to hurt me like that?" Lucas Tran closed his eyes. A tear slipped silently from the corner. "So, you knew it was me who cursed you?" I was quiet for a moment. "Let's just say I did." He trembled as he let out a shaky breath. "Honestly, I just thought you'd never leave me. You were always following me around since we were kids. After your dad passed, you clung to me even more. I assumed you'd be the one to stay by my side forever. But Sophie was different. She was always able to walk away, to disappear whenever she wanted. That scared me. I admit it, I didn't want to lose her. But I also believed that no matter what I did, you'd never truly leave me. So when I had to choose, I always chose to sacrifice you. I knew it was wrong, but I always thought I could make it up to you afterward, that if I destroyed your college dreams, I'd support you financially. If Sophie took your identity, I'd still take care of you. But now I understand. What I thought was compensation, you never wanted any of it." I didn't know what to say. I never expected such a cruel betrayal to come from such a pathetic reason. "What gave you the right to think someone would stay with you forever, for nothing?" He closed his eyes in pain. "I'm sorry, Skylar. I know now. It's too late. I finally realized the one I thought I couldn't lose is actually the one I can't live without." I stood up, "But I will walk away." Panic flashed in his eyes. "Skylar, please, don't say that." I turned. "You won't ever see me again." He desperately tried to stop me, but his body, paralyzed, gave way. He collapsed onto the floor with a heavy thud. I didn't look back. "Skylar, don't go! Please!" Doctors and nurses rushed in to lift him. I walked faster, never turning around once. Outside, the sky was an endless blue. The ocean stretched wide beneath it. At the plaza, I saw the old beggar again. He was sitting calmly, just as before. I stopped beside him. "You're not an ordinary man," I said. "Why live like a beggar?" He puffed on his cigarette and let out a bitter laugh. "Once, I studied every form of dark magic, thought I was invincible, above everyone else. But one day, my arrogance cost me the person I loved most." He looked up at me. "If that ever happens to you, you'll spend the rest of your life like I do now."